Good afternoon or morning, wherever you are. Evening, wherever. Welcome to KingPittdawg Racing. I just wanted to come in today and get on line here to explain our major update. I didn't think I was going to have this done for this first race, but I was able to wrap it up. Good morning. So I wanted to get into this. We're going to do a quick sound check. All right, we are all good. So, this car you see in front of us is actually the new livery for my car we're going to be running tonight in the main races for our 2 for 1 hour and 24 minutes of Daytona. And this is my livery I made up last night since I couldn't sleep. And we got the Group 4 Viper. And we got a nice, looks similar to the one I've got on my Group 3. Little update for 2025. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. So, what I was doing was we're trying to make these cup cars more, I guess you would say more paired, because there are still some ringers. So what I've done is modified everything to the fullest extent, I guess you would say. We already had the cars.
If you have your VR on.
I do not have my VR on. I can't see you there, Steve. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Season 2 Champion Steve Sanders in the house this morning. And give me just a second to get out of this, and we will go right into the lineup. So I went through this, and it probably took me... I spent quite a bit of time doing this because I wasn't sure if it was going to work, so I messed with my prototypes, and then I had one extra Maserati, but we have created 2 new cars. Let me save this style real quick. And we'll go right into the Cup car lineup. I do have everything set up in order, so we can just go right down the list. As before, we went in and we tried to modify some of the cars some ways, some of the cars other ways. So what I've done is basically maxed out all the cars, and we are getting into the extreme tuning. So let me go over that. We'll jump into the garage here, and we'll go right down the list alphabetically. That's how I've gotten it set up. But first, let's introduce you to the new cars we've got in the lineup. The first one, the Aston Martin V8 Vantage S15. That is a naturally aspirated V8. And as you can see, all of these cars have roughly 600 horsepower. We also have added the Lexus LC500. And I will go over the rules on these cars just a little bit, but first we're just going to go through and start hitting all of these. So what I basically did is we went through and we've modified the engines to the max, and so get your screenshots ready depending on which car you want to drive, because I'm going to go through this pretty quick. I am going to jump into each car, and then we'll go into the tuning parts area so you can see what is and isn't available, because we're basically maxing out the engines. Except for the Vipers, which already have a lot of power. And as you can see right here, the Viper GTS02, this is what I'm calling the 6/3 rule. 600 horsepower, 3,000 pounds. So as you can see, none of these cars have the exact same weight, because every horsepower you are over 600 is 3 pounds of penalty. But you can't be under 600. By building all these engines, the Vipers now have more horsepower than torque, so it evens that out. So I've figured that calculation out. Now, this isn't exactly 3,012 pounds for 4 additional horsepower, because you can't hit that number with the ballast. So let's start off with the Alpha 8C Competizione, and we'll go right into it. So this is the prototype, and again, these are the only things I did modify was the prototypes, because I was trying to keep the other cars drivable. So now we are into this one. As you can see, I've got all these set 2025 Cup Car 6/3. We're going to do the same thing we did before as far as settings. We're going to keep everything. Whoops, this one didn't. Oh, no, it's right. The body height, you can adjust what you want. But all of these, 6 or 5 on the anti-roll bar, and then everything else in the middle You can set your camber how you want. Again, I've got this set up for a Daytona, and your toe how you want. Whoop, wrong button. And then the differential you can set how you want. Downforce, though, is going to be set, at least for the first practice session, where every car is in the middle, and then every rear is double of that number. So it'll be, so this one's 70 is the middle, and 140 is the rear. So that is that. Ballast, again, we're at this car, because it is 4 horsepower over, we're at the minimum to get 12 pounds, which is 99 on the ballast. You can put the ballast where you want, but I did it to balance every single car out as close as we could. Now this one with all the mods will be a 90 power restrictor. And again, you can set the gearing where you wish, but it's probably going to be ideal at Daytona once we start doing some practice drafting and that. You'll be able to find the ideal. Another thing, the propeller shaft, which I didn't put on this one, that's why I'm going through these again. We are allowing the carbon propeller shaft, so we're going to jump out now and go through the tuning mods. Again, every single car starts off, and I'll do this one time on this car. Every single car starts off in the GT Auto Center here, and you're going to do the wide body. Okay, that's going to be step 1. Step 2 in the car customization is to put the proper wheels on there. And that is the BBS racing wheel. Now you can change the color however you want, but these are the set wheels, and it's the closest one we can get to 18. So this one actually should be 18. So wide on those. The closest thing you can get to 18 inches is what we're looking for on there, okay? Again, we're trying to mimic the NASCAR Cup cars, so they're at 18-inch wheels right now, so that's what we're doing. Some of the cars you can't get that low, but we'll get as close as we can. The front, we're always going to put the front splitter on. We're going to put the side skirts on. If it's available, now this bumper already has a diffuser on it, you will put the rear diffuser on it. And the wing, as always, is the good old trusty medium 22 wing. Medium height wing, end plate type 22. And that's what we're using on all the Cup cars and all of our hissers that we can. Hood pins, you can put whichever ones you want. Tow hook, you can do as you wish. And roll cage, if it's available, you should put that on there. Other parts, again, light bulbs, you can do as you want. I would recommend getting the license plate off the front. And then caliper color, you can do as you wish as well. Now, this one should have red. It's a red car. Again, that's just preference there. But that's the only time I'm going to go through the customizing of the cars, because they're all pretty much the same. If there's 2 different splitters, you can choose whichever one you like the best. It seems that usually the B one is better. It's more aggressive. So let's go to the tuning shop. So this is a car from last year, which we had. So we do weight reduction stage 1. We're going to do bore up, high lift camshaft. You're going to get weight reduction stage 2. Of course, as always, your power restrictor and balance. We're always going to have those on all the cars. Racing crankshaft. Racing crankshaft, fully customizable computer. Fully customizable LSD. Increased body rigidity. And this car does not need to get into the 3rd weight reduction. Stroke up. Engine balance tuning. Polish ports. Racing air filter muffler exhaust. Brake pads. Brake balance controller, fully customizable suspension, racing clutch and flywheel, fully customizable racing transmission, and your racing tires. You know, you need mediums at the minimum if you're going to race, because that's all this room is set for at Daytona. And then this one, as you guys may remember, carbon ceramic brakes on these Cup cars. That's the difference. The brakes and the transmissions are the difference in the main build between these cars and hissers. So. Now, this one, though, we are going to try to put titanium connecting rods and pistons on every single one. We did not need to do the high lift camshaft S on this one because we already had it, and we hit the horsepower number. There's a couple engines where we got to max them completely out. Or quite a few, actually. And that was the idea, is to try to get the max power and then just restrict it. That way it's the best fare for each car. So that is your 8C. And again, I will do a quick, as we go into the garage here, I'll do a quick summary on this one, and then we'll buzz through these next ones, because they're all pretty similar. And again, all these settings in the middle, your downforce at the middle setting, and then double it for the rear. Those are minimums. You can go more downforce if you want, but I think you want to get these cars trimmed out as much as you can for Daytona. And again, top speed is the only thing adjustable on the transmission, and that is going to be something we're going to have to determine in practice what's best for each car, especially with these new settings. But as you can see, we pretty much have everything over here, and then the 2 weight reductions on this one. Okay, on to the next car. And again, I'm not going to go through as much on this one, but this one is one of the ones we had special settings on, which we no longer actually need. So let's go through this one. This is the, I didn't actually save this one. We're going to edit, then we're going to duplicate sheet, and we're going to call it 2025 KupKar 63.
Oh, my car.
There's your car. Alright, so this one kind of self-mitigates itself. Again, you can set the ride height where you want. There's a couple of them that I'm going to give you some recommendations because of some previous issues. Anti-roll bar 5 or 6. I always put it on the stiffer. All these in the middle until you get to camber and toe. Those you can set. Again, I would recommend very little camber at Daytona and no toe. And again, you can set the diff where you want. Downforce, again, middle mark, and then double it for the rear. Okay. Output adjustment on all of these cars is going to be 100%. So that's good because we don't have to dig into some of these cars that were overpowered. Ballast on this one, 170, and you can put the ballast where you want. Again, I balanced them out at 50-50, all of the cars when I set them up. And this power restrictor on this one is at 80. Again, racing air filter, muffler, exhaust, carbon brakes, racing brake pads, brake controller, and again, carbon propeller shaft this time, racing clutch and flywheel. And this has got, again, every single engine option that is available is installed. All 3 weight reductions are used and increased body rigidity. So we'll go back and see what this looks like into the tuning shop. Again, those of you who just, what I do like when Steve does his is I just put it on the computer and just pause it as I'm going through it and build it one thing at a time. So this one's going to have weight reduction stage 1 as we discussed. We're going to have bore up, high lift camshaft. You see the high compression pistons are not available. As always, our power restrictor and ballast, and then weight reduction stage 2 on this one. I think all of them have at least 2.
Is a requirement or mandatory?
Yeah, that's gonna be basically a set. It's like a set part we're giving everybody. Basically, like they do in Cup where they've got fixed parts, right? But you can set the toe and it's kind of like our version of BOP, as I mentioned before. Racing crankshaft, fully customizable computer, fully customizable LSD. This one needs weight reduction stage 3. And then increased body rigidity. Again, we're making a race car out of these. We definitely want to do that. Stroke up is not available. Engine balance, tuning, and polished ports are added in. Racing air filter, muffler, exhaust, as all cars have. Racing brake pads, as they all have. Brake balance controller, fully customizable suspension, racing clutch and flywheel, and fully customizable racing transmission in all cars. And then your tires, as you wish. You got to get mediums at least. And then, of course, the KupKar exclusive ceramic brake kit. Carbon ceramic brake kit. Now, this one also uses the titanium connecting rods and pistons. Again, we maxed out these engines where we could. And as you see, we've purchased the carbon propeller shaft. Now, anybody who's asking, oh, I can't get into the extreme category, there's going to be a couple of cars you may not be able to drive, but you will be able to drive. You just are going to have to limit your cars and do the same horsepower thing. But I do expect all the cars to be built fully and not just be just enough, because that's what makes it as fair as possible. So, let's see. We did that. Let's go on to the next one. And again, this is our new car. And so I will go over this build completely because it's a new car. And that is the Aston Martin V8 Vantage V8. Yeah, I went through every single manufacturer to see if any of the cars, and I didn't realize I didn't have these two in there. So again, this car, you see, has that 603 horsepower, so 3 pounds per horsepower, so it's 3,009 pounds. So again, 600 is the baseline, 3,000 is the base weight. And you can set your ride height, anti-roll bar 5 or 6, damping compression. Oh, this one's supposed to be. I must not have set this one. I think I set the other one. I have 2 of these, so this one I actually bought and built. The other one I had. So there we go. Everything in the middle. Again, all the suspension settings in the middle. I want to try to keep it as fair as I don't want people to get lost either trying to tune the suspension, because Daytona's a strange monster. I probably open those settings up when we go to different tracks and stuff, but Daytona I want to keep this pretty locked down. And again, downforce, your front needs to be in the middle mark, and then your rear needs to be double that. So a lot of these cars end up with the same numbers. Ballast on this one, which I thought was pretty cool, is 7 on the 007 car. Power restrictor 98, and it's already a 50/50 car. Again, your same racing air filter muffler exhaust, that's on every single car. Carbon brakes on every single car. Brake pads, brake controller all on every single car. Racing clutch and flywheel, and carbon propeller shaft. Again, if you don't have the ability to get into the extreme, there may be a couple cars you wouldn't be able to build up to the power, because as you can see, this one's at 98%. If you're not getting to the extreme, you're probably not going to hit that 600 horse number. So you wouldn't be able to drive this car if you don't have the extreme. That's just kind of a limitation, like a licensing limit, I guess you could say, just because you can't get into it. So again, bore up engine balance tuning, polished ports, high lift camshaft, titanium connecting rods and pistons, racing crankshaft, and this car is a 1-2 weight reduction. Increased body rigidity, as we mentioned, and again, I'm going to go through the whole build on this car because it's a new one. And we're going to start, as we always do, car maintenance and service. You're going to start with that wide body right there. I didn't even have these cars I actually made last night, because I already had a LC I tried to make a HECS out of but couldn't. So we turned that one into one of these new Cup cars. So again, wheels. It's the BBS racing wheel. Okay, it's got the little red tag on it. That's how you know. So that's the easy part. And custom parts front. Now this one has the front splitter, the side skirts, and this one you actually can add the rear diffuser. And then this one again, as always, the venerable and trusty medium size height wing with the Type 22 in play. Medium 22. Racing items, hood pins you can do as you wish. Tow hook you can do as you wish. Roll cage when they're available. Light bulbs, I always go with the highest, brightest. I always move the license plate to the rear only. You can remove the license plate in the rear if you want. That's up to you. But I like to get that out of your air intake duct. It's just going to add some more drag. And then your caliper color you can set up to the car. We'll change this one just for fun. And that is the basic car build. And again, we will probably try to make a HECS out of this one too. So we'll see how it works, because our HECS is going to be a little bit more powerful this year, and in 2 separate weight categories. The Super HECS and the HECS Lights. So that's what we're going to call them, because their HECS Lights are going to be considerably lighter. All right. Tuning shop. This is going to be very similar across most cars. You're going to have weight reduction stage 1, bore up and high lift camshaft. The only cars we're not going to bore up are the big liter Vipers. Weight reduction stage 2 and our power restrictor and ballast. Then our racing crankshaft, fully customizable computer, fully customizable LSD, and increased body rigidity. Again, we're welding these seams up. We're making this car stiffer. Racing, again, everything available. Engine balance tuning, polished ports, racing air filter muffler exhaust, pads, brake balance controller, fully customizable suspension, racing clutch and flywheel, fully customizable racing transmission, and this one I did not buy all the tires, so we're going to do that. Just because I will forget later if I go to run it. And then in the extreme, the only thing really in the extreme in all these cars is the carbon ceramic brake kit. But ultimate here, we're using the titanium connecting rods and pistons. Again, if we use the high lift camshaft, we don't need to necessarily use the S one. There are a couple engines where we have to. And our carbon propeller shaft. All right, so that is your V8 Vantage new for 2025, and a 603 horsepower, 3,009 pounds. Again, some of these cars are going to have a little bit less performance points, you might see, but I think in the draft and that we will balance out a lot of that. Put these back on medium since I bought the hards. It's going to default to hards. And we're at 704. So all the cars are above 700. They're between 700 and 720 roughly in there. So again, there's a quick review, and we'll move on to the next one. Make sure I got that. Yeah, I don't have that one labeled right either. Again, I had two of the Lexus, not this one. KupKar 6.3. All right, let's change on to the next one. We'll start moving through the list a little faster here because these are all cars that are just updated from last year until we get down to the LC500. So the M3, again, a car with a lack of torque, but I did not make any changes. Again, we're maxing these things out. And if it's not a good car, it's just not a good car. This car was really good in the draft, though, because you're using horsepower and aerodynamics instead of, torque. So here's your bore up, stroke up, everything on this car. This car is maxed out except for the stage 4 weight reduction. So again, we're set 6 here, and then in the middle on all of these, I've been just putting all these at 8 just to keep it uniform. 9, 11, 10 is what I set up. You can set that however you want. But this one's a little bit less drag on it. 50 for the minimum, and 100 for the minimum on the rear. This one does take 141 kilograms of ballast. I did move that to make it 50-50, and we're at 91 in the power restrictor. Again, I don't want anybody going under 600, but we don't want to go anything too far over. So there's about a 6. I think 6 is the max. I think it's 606 is the max. So it's 600 to 606 horsepower is going to be our range. Again, the top speed we can adjust as we get into racing, and our ubiquitous racing air filter muffler exhaust, carbon brakes and pads, and brake controller, and our clutch and propeller shaft. So there's that one, and then I'm going to quickly run through the screen. In fact, I'm probably not even going to describe it. I'm just going to show you the screens on these just so you know where to buy stuff. Weight reduction stage 1, bore up, high lift cam, high compression pistons. Our standards, power restrictor ballast, and weight reduction stage 2, racing crankshaft, computer, LSD. This one needs weight reduction stage 3 and increased body rigidity. Stroke up, engine balance tuning, polished ports, racing air filter muffler exhaust we just went over, braking brake pads, brake balance controller, fully customizable suspension, racing clutch and flywheel, fully customizable racing transmission, and all of our tires. So again, there's our one thing in the extreme, and that is the carbon ceramic brake kit. And I do apologize, I did say extreme earlier. We're in the ultimate tuning. So stroke up, titanium connecting rods and pistons. This one needs the high lift camshaft S, so it needs the higher upgrade to get to that power level. So there is your BMW M307. Again, the only M3 that is a V8. So that's the one you need to use, the M307. That can sometimes be found in used cars. I think I've got at least 3 of all these Cup cars. Some of them I have 4. Just so I can play around with them on the side and not screw up the lineup. Again, just a quick synopsis there. And we'll change into a lot of people's favorite, the Camaro, which again retains the highest PP number in the listing. This car is just a ringer, so we might have to restrict it a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how things go in the races here. I did put a little bit of ride height in this one, but again, all of these settings are in the middle, except our camber, which you can set where you want, and our toe angle. Again, the fully customizable LSD you can set. This one needs a minimum 145 on the downforce and 290 in the rear. Again, that's double. The rear number is double the front. That's just going to be our rule. Just some sort of control. Ballast is 125, and I put it to get 50-50 at 35. You can put it where you wish. Power restrictor is at 90 on this one. And again, you'll be able to set the gearing as you wish. And then all of our ubiquitous parts over here. As you can see, we put pretty much everything in there that we could put in there. So let's go over there and take a quick glance. Again, I'm not going to go through it this time. We're just going to show you some screenshots. So you can take a screenshot. So there's our sports tab, which is easy. This is our club sports tab. Again, we're going to get into the stuff we always have. Semi-racing. The ubiquitous things down at the bottom. The weight reduction stage 3 is not always necessary, but otherwise these are pretty much the same on most cars. Everything available on the engine. All of our standard parts. Again, this car I have set up for being a dual. So this one can be a Cup car and a HECS, so I've got everything, as you see.
Holy shit, you changed a lot on the Camaro.
We changed a lot on everything. But basically we're just maxing everything out, Steve. That's what we're doing. We're just maxing it out, and then we're just going to restrict it. I just feel like we've got too many cars that are too weak. So if they can't compete at maxed out, then too bad. But I think the weight thing is going to work pretty good. We may have to change those numbers a little bit. We'll see. But again, we're going to build these engines this time. The Camaro, we didn't touch it. It was basically stock, like a stock LS. Yeah. And again, as we go down the list here, again, the Corvette here was a little bit over as far as the PP points go. So I am actually going to put the room at 730. So you wouldn't be able to run hards or softs on it. But let's go through the settings on the Corvette here, because this car we added in late last year. As far as later, I think it was like the day of the first race. So again, I've got everything set standard. We're at the middle, and then you can set your camber and your toe, your diff, your gear. But we're at 145 and 240, which I think is... That should be 290, sorry. That was a mistake. That's probably why this one is showing. Yeah, see, that's closer to the Camaro now. Now I can make 727 than the room limit. Okay, and again, we put everything on the engine and 2 weight reductions. So we'll go back through that and do a screenshot on this one. Again, I did a lot of experimenting on these, building these. I did it very slowly. Sports is always weight reduction stage 1 you're going to need on every car. I think you need weight reduction stage 2 on every car. Power restrictor and ballast. This one takes the high compression pistons. Your standard racing crankshaft. The racing crankshaft was the first thing I started with on all these cars. I make sure they all had racing crankshafts. Then I finally decided, they were getting too spread out, I said, you know what, we're just going to max them out. Let's just max them out. We'll get into the ultimate. If somebody can't get in the ultimate, I think pretty much everybody that races with us can get into the ultimate, except maybe 1 or 2 people, maybe 3. But we will definitely, I think we're definitely going to see some improvements in the parity of the cars here now. Stroke up, engine balance, tuning, polish ports, as always, our standard stuff. And again, this car is also built as a HECS, so I've got the 2 types of brakes, even though we're using the carbon ceramic brakes on the Cup car. I didn't get hard tires on this one. I'll buy those right now. And then the ultimate, we don't need to get the high limb camshaft S because we had plenty of power. And the titanium connecting rods and pistons. I only used this one to get over that last lump if we needed to. And again, don't forget your carbon propeller shaft now. What I really one of the reasons I wanted to do this is these cars were too close to HECS, where I could just flip a couple of things and make a HECS out of them. So I want to make these more extreme, I guess you'd say. More ultimate, let's call it that. So one more quick review on the settings here. And again, this one that doesn't balance out exactly with the ballast to 3015, which is because of the 5 extra horsepower over 600. It's a 3 pound per horsepower weight addition. And again, you can set the top speed as you wish. But there's your quick summary of everything on the Corvette, and it should be 605 horsepower and 3,016 pounds. Make sure when you're setting these cars up, people, you do your oil change. Because I messed that up on one of them, and then I had to go back and fix stuff. So, all right, there are 3 Vipers we can use. This is basically the gold standard here, the 600, 300 setup. This is the only car I could get exactly to that setting, the 600, 300. It's a little harder when you start getting into these higher powers to get to break down. But again, we're pretty low on this car, and we've got it at 6 on the anti-roll bar, and we are in the middle in all of these settings. Camber and tow you can set, your diff you can set. This one is at 125 on the minimum downforce in the front, and double that in the rear, 250. 106 on the ballast on this car, and negative 25 gets you 50-50, so that's a nice even setup. Now again, this may change on this Viper this time, because now its horsepower is more than its torque, which before we were using a torque limit instead of horsepower limit on the Viper. So that'll take some getting used to. Racing air filter muffler and exhaust as always, and then our carbon propeller shaft, and you can see we did not bore or stroke up this 8-liter engine just for that reason. It's 8 liters. Jiminy Christmas, it's twice of what the BMW is. So that is your Viper, your basic Viper. That's your O2. And we'll go in and just quickly go through these. I'm going to get through this as quick as I can here for y'all. Weight reduction stage 1. We did not, just be careful, do not do the bore up on the Viper. We're keeping it basically at the stock displacement. I think I did actually change it on the GTS, but we'll go through that. Or the 13 model. So high lift cam, high compression pistons, weight reduction, and power restrictor balance. Pretty basic. Crankshaft computer, LSD. This one again, this one's a dual, so it's also so ignore the fully customizable manual unless you're going to use it as a hisser as well. This one only needed 2 weight reductions, so we can add our increased body rigidity. And then again, we're not stroking this one up either. Engine balance, tuning, polish ports, all of our standard parts. Again, ignore these racing brake kits because that is the hisser part of this car. Fully customizable racing transmission, your tires, your carbon ceramic brake kit, and this one is going to get titanium connecting rods and pistons. I tried to put that on every car. Carbon propeller shaft. That's your... Yeah, the carbon propeller shaft is going to help you with... it's going to help you with acceleration. All right. That car is at 708.26, where it sits. And then we're going to go on to this middle Viper, which I never really ran. But this one I did build anyway, just in case somebody wants to drive it. This one has a massive engine. It's an 8.3 liter. Again, everything's set to the middle, except our camber and tow, which you can set. You can set your diff. This one needs 90 minimum on the downforce and double that on the rear. 116 on the ballast. That gives you 3,016 pounds because it's 5 horsepower over. That should be 15 pounds, but you're going to take a little bit of a hit. Any car that's a little bit more powerful, you're going to get a little bit, because I can't get to that 3,015 number exactly. Ballast positioning, you can do that as you wish. I actually would probably move this one if I'm doing it. Probably to the middle. I think I did that for the previous build. Oh, it's still not. I thought I was there. 50-50, so -8. Again, gearing's going to be different on these cars, so we're going to have a little bit of a learning curve. That's why we run qualifying heat races and practice. So all your standard parts, again, no bore up or stroke up on this one. I don't think the stroke up's even available on this one. But then, one of my favorite cars here, the GTS 13. And this one is at... Oh, this one doesn't have displacement. So this one, I think, yeah, we left the bore and stroke up alone. So this one is at all the centers, as we said. And then you can set your camber. Again, I for uniformity on these prototypes, I put all the settings basically the same. The negative cambers are the same. All the body heights are about as low as I would run them. And then these are just pretty standard numbers that I run on these diffs. 90. Oh, this one's actually not set right. It's supposed to be 165. And then that should be 330. All right, there we go. 330. 165, again, center, and then double. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I had to do the math in my head again. 108 on the ballast on this one because it's 5 horsepower over. It's going to get 3,016 pounds. And I moved this ballast to get it even, and it's 73 on the restrictor on this one. This is a very powerful car. Again, we'll have to mess with the gearing and the racing clutch and flywheel and carbon propeller shaft. Engine balance tuning polish ports. And those are your minimal engine build on this one, but that's all they allow us. And then weight reduction stage 1, 2, 3, and body rigidity. So, as always, weight reduction stage 1, weight reduction stage 2, our power restrictor and ballast, racing crank and computer, LSD, and increased body rigidity. This one needs weight reduction stage 3. Again, this one is a dual car, so ignore the fully customizable manual. Engine balance tuning polish ports, all that's available in that part. And then our standard stuff, again, this is a dual car, so ignore the racing brake kit. Brake balance controller, all these goodies, fully customizable racing transmission, ceramic brake kit, and our titanium connecting rods and pistons. Don't forget that carbon propeller shaft. So that is our Viper GTS 2013, and then one more review if you're trying to look at settings. We're at 605 horse, 3,016 pounds. I got this thing balanced 50-50. And there is everything in a nutshell. Next car, and again, this balancing actually worked pretty good for the Fords. So if you look at the Fords, the PP numbers are actually up on these, and that's because I'm allowing 10%. So this one, the Mustang GT, is a Cup Car 6.3 plus 11%. That's power. We are at basically all the standard settings. This one has very little front drag according to the spoilers, but we know these cars are heavy drag as far as how the algorithm in the computer reads them, so that's why this car gets more power. 118 on the ballast. We're going to get to 3,000 pounds even on this car. Again, these are the only two cars that are different. Ballast positioning you can do where you want, but 35. Power restrictors 100. This is every build we can put on this car. Bore up.
How, but you made the cams row faster. LOL. I just ran a 45.3 at Daytona.
Yeah, it seems weird because I think it's because it's got more guts, a little bit more guts makes a difference. I mean, we are up 80 horsepower, and we're only up 175 pounds. So that's a big difference. Yeah, it should make for some good racing. I think the cars will be more stable because there's more drag on them. We're not running a low downforce, high downforce.
Stable with the downforce though.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm hoping they're all like that. So, yeah, that's cool. And then again, the Mustangs might be competitive this time. They're really good in the draft, but they were just you just pull out and it's like you put up a parachute when you try to make a pass, unless you got somebody pushing. And again, that passing takes a specific type of skill without having help. You got to have the run just right, and you got to time it just right, and you got to do it before you get in the corner because the lower side always prevails in the corner.
That Mustang is sloth in its own.
Yeah, so that's why I gave this one. Basically, it's max horse. 669 horse is what we can get out of it. The GT350 gets 660, so it's 10%. So again, weight reduction is standard. Bore up high lift cam is standard. Oop, I didn't touch on these, but this is every car needs weight reduction stage 2 power restrictor ballast. Racing cranked and computer, every car needs that. Every car needs these items, except maybe not stage 3, weight reduction. Actually, you know what? And by the way, this is another dual car, so this is for a hisser. If you want to make a hisser out of it, by all means, buy it. Engine balance tuning, polished ports, and all of our goodies. Again, these racing brake kits are hisser specific. And then this one, the fully customizable racing transmission, is for the Cup cars. And don't forget our carbon ceramic brakes. This one is going to need our titanium connecting rods and pistons and the high lift S camshaft. Along with that newly minted, I don't say minted, but newly allowed for 2025 carbon propeller shaft. So this one is at 3,000 pounds and 669 horsepower. And again, we'll do a quick snapshot again. Again, don't forget all these settings are in the middle. And your aero 50 and then double that on the rear. That's every car's double. They're all worked out the same. So we'll see how they do in the draft. We may have to adjust that. We may have to come up with a new low downforce or whatnot. But this car has less downforce than a lot of the other ones. So it's still pretty easy to drive. So let's go on to its sister, or cousin. I guess you would call this one a cousin because it's technically not a factory Ford car. I don't know if... I think the GT350R is actually finished at Shelby. I believe. I could be wrong. Again, we're at Cup Car. We're at 10% plus on the power here, and it worked out without having to do really much restriction. We maxed it out. Again, all of our settings in the middle. And then this one has a little bit more downforce on it. Oh. I did not set that. So 110, 220 would be the starting point on this one. Oh, actually, you know what? I did that intentionally. This one was actually at 85. So we're going to start off with this one with less. 85 and 170, that's what it was. We're going to start off with less just because I know how the computer sees this car as a brick. So that would be what? 170. So that one puts this one up in the 720, so it might be more competitive this way. Ballast, again, this is the only car that I allow this on, below the middle mark. And again, these are shots in the dark. I have no idea how I have not tested these in the draft. We will find that out though. Ballast 135. I put it towards the back to make it 50-50. Power restrictors 95.
He'll try to make the events tonight, but have to leave for work by 4 a.m.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. Yeah, we're gonna try to get through these a little faster because we don't have to do a lot. We're gonna be doing stages. And again, I'll go over all those details a little later here. I'll send those out so they're fresh on everybody's feed when I get them. But thanks, Snook. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Again, Group 3, Group 4 is usually easy for everybody because they have those cars. The Cup cars here require a little bit more commitment, and I understand that. But they are a freaking blast, and it's about as close as we can get to NASCAR racing on this game. The Group GT3 cars are good, but the BOP isn't very good on them when you're trying to run them like at Daytona and stuff. So, next car on the list is the next new car on the list, and I'm going to go into this one here because this is the one I already have liveried up. This was my hisser. So again, this car is expensive, but I like it. I like the looks of it, and that's really why I want to race it. So, okay, this one here is one of the reasons we had to bump up the weight, because I can only get it down to 2,950 pounds. I don't know why it's such a freaking lead sled, but it is. So, this one, again, everything is basically the same. I did allow a little bit more anti-roll bar on the two Lexuses, just because we know that the RCF tends to bottom out in the corners. So these are supposed to, I didn't set these. Oh, because this was my hisser one. That's why. Probably thought I had them set. All right, so there's your numbers there. Again, anything you want on the diff. And we're going to be at 7, and this should be 140. And then the ballast is 24 because it's 1 horsepower over 600. And that ballast position I just shoved to the back just to try to get us a little bit of weight. A little bit of, this is the only car that I think that doesn't come out 50-50. 85 on the restrictor. Again, we'll set the gearing. All of our normal things, and this baby is built to the hill. This car is going to have a caveat. Okay, it's 300,000 credits for stage 5. If you want to run this car, without the weight reduction stage 5, do the calculation, and you can run a little bit more horsepower. But you are going to be at, I think it's 78, so you're going to be at like 3,200 pounds. So it's going to be, I think it was 3,078. I think they just did the weight reduction, didn't take a lot off this car for some reason. So again, calculate it, and you're gonna have to do it reverse for the weight. So I'll allow you up to the invert on the power. So if you go without the weight reduction stage 5, like I said, I think it's 3,078. So it'd be 78 times 3. So that's gonna be like what, one?
Kevin and chat. Like deployed.
Hey, how's it going, bud? How are things over in McHenry, Illinois? I haven't been outside yet, but it looks decent. I'm gonna have to go take the cars and get them washed. Actually, I washed the other car when it was 13 degrees the other day, so it's still pretty clean. But we're building our, going through our new Cup car list here, Bogues. Oh, thank you. I just got a treat delivered to me. Wasn't that swell?
I'm not too shabby here. Lol.
Yeah, better than, what was the high the other day? 3 degrees? Much better than that. I'll take it any day. Anyway, back to this car. Again, do the calculation. So what is it? 375 times 3. Wow, that's a lot. 75, add 9 more. Yeah, it's going to be pretty heavy. You're going to be up there like 3,200 pounds or something like that, 3,300 pounds. So probably want to run something else. But I will allow you, if you're dead set on it, you can do it without spending that 300,000 credits on that other weight reduction. All right, so that is the LC500. And again, I'll go through this. This is a new one that we've never done. I'll go through this build real quick. We'll start over here. Again, as always, all of our race cars, hissers and cup cars, start off with the wide body. They just look cooler, you know? There's a couple cars in the hissers that don't allow wide body, but they're already wide bodied, so that's why. Again, as all these cup cars, again, we're trying to mimic NASCAR, so we're using the BBS wheels. And you know what? I had changed the color on this one, these to bronze. I wonder why they're not coming up on that. Anyway, the BBS wheels. Oh, that did. Oh, it's because I was changing them. Okay. Custom parts front. We're going to use either one. I like the more aggressive looking splitter. Either one you can use. The side skirts, we only get one option. Bumper's already got a diffuser on it. The wing, as always, is our venerable custom wing set. Medium, Type 22. So that's a build in a nutshell. Again, I could not get this car into hisser spec. So even taking parts off of it, I couldn't get it down enough. So over to the tuning shop we go. And again, I'm going to just give you an opportunity for, oops, dangnabbit. Too busy yapping and not thinking what I'm doing here. We're going to go right to the tuning shop, and I'm just going to go through the pages. You can see I tried to minimize this thing so I can make a hisser out of it. But weight reduction stage 1 is going to be the only thing you really need on here. This is your engine build. This is standard on every car. Weight reduction stage 2 and our balance and restrictor, just for balancing purposes. Again, I was trying to restrict this, so ignore the semi-racing muffler. So racing crankshaft, fully customizable computer. LSD, Again, the manual you do not need. That was for history. This car will not qualify, so don't waste your money. Weight reduction stage 3 and increased body rigidity. Stroke up, engine balance, tuning, polish ports, air filter, muffler, exhaust, racing brake pads. Ignore this one. Oh, just stink. This controller doesn't last very long anymore, so bear with me a second. I gotta jump over here and grab one off the charger. Alright, there we go. Come on. Alright. So again, ignore this racing brake kit on this car. It's a waste of money if you spend it, because this car will not hit the current HECS specs. Brake balance controller, fully customizable suspension, racing clutch and flywheel, and our fully customizable racing transmission. This one, again, weight reduction stage 4. I think if I remember right, it was 3,078 pounds. So you would have to have trying to think of what that is. Yeah, because that's the you get 3,078 pounds. No, wait a minute. What I'm telling you guys that completely wrong. I'm in my head. It's the horsepower you would increase. So you might get some more horsepower if you don't do the fifth weight reduction. I will say this: if the car becomes a ringer without the final weight reduction, we will, and the extra horsepower, we will start restricting it. We just got to make this as fair as possible. So again, you don't need the high lift camshaft S on this engine. It's pretty powerful. Titanium connecting rods and pistons. And again, this weight reduction stage 5 was 300,000 credits, so it's more than half the build on some of these cars. Carbon propeller shaft on all the cars now. All right, we're almost done. Give you guys another chance at a screenshot here. 601 horse, 3,003 pounds. Again, the 6'3 rule, 600 horse and 3,000 pounds is the base. Every horsepower over 600 is 3 pounds of extra weight. And again, it doesn't always match up, so you'll be over that 3 pounds per horsepower as opposed to under. And then this is a snapshot of everything. This car is about as maxed as you can get. And it's because it's a friggin' lead sled. But I do like it, and I really like the looks of it. That's one of the reasons I'm going to run at least one of the qualifying heat races tomorrow. Again, tomorrow evening is our RJP Memorial Trial, the triple qualifying races, the trial instead of the dual. We have the trial. And we will be running 3 races, and I think they're going to be roughly 100 miles each. So I think, what is that? 40 laps? I think that's what it'll be. So I'll verify everything with a calculator. Again, I want to keep the qualifying races, you know, as actually no, it wasn't 100 miles. We were going to do 80 miles. So I'll calculate that out. We'll figure that out. So next car, we're almost done. We're down to the last 2. The RCF, which we know we had some problems with bottoming out. So if you'll know, when I go into the settings here, I do have camber built into this car, and oops, I didn't do it. I did it on that one.
Tomorrow's race a little earlier than usual.
Yeah, we'll probably start things at we'll start qualifying because we're going to do the single car qualifying. We'll probably start qualifying around 5:30 local instead of waiting till like 6:30. So, yeah, and again, anybody who wants to come in and can't make that time, I'll probably open the room at 5:30, and then I'll go through everything with everybody, and then we'll get on the track for qualifying.
Perfect.
So if anybody misses qualifying, that's no big deal, because I'm gonna
not 9 p.m. the usual.
No, because that's a Saturday night thing. I always try to do the Sundays earlier for people that, like you, that have to, you know, that you're across the seas, so you're not in the middle of the morning as much. It's still night. It's still like midnight for you, isn't it? But anyway. All right, back to the RCF here. Again, I will allow the 7 on the roll bar. It is Central Standard Time U.S. So I should be mentioning that. I sometimes forget that not everybody watches this knows where I'm at. So again, our downforce set at the right at the smack dab at the mark, and then double that for the rear. Ballast at 134 on this car. Again, this is the most powerful car at 606, so it has the most weight penalty, which is 3,018 pounds, but it does hit the number right on the mark as far as 3 pounds per horsepower. Ballast positioning I put in the rear to balance this out, so it's a 50-50. And then our power restrictor is at 81. And then there is everything built. I think this is pretty much the same engine that is in the LC. It's basically the RCF engine, which is a wonderful engine, I understand. I have not driven an RCF yet. I would like to. I did drive a LC around the parking lot, but that doesn't qualify. We had a nice infrared one, man, that was nice. They're $100,000 cars, and I can see why. Well, shoot, I think the RCFs are 85, or probably more than that now. I think they've stopped making the RCF. Could be wrong. Weight reduction stage 1. Bore up high lift camshaft, high compression pistons. Our ubiquitous weight reduction stage 2 restrictor and ballast. Racing crank, fully customizable computer. LSD, increased body rigidity, and this car needs weight reduction stage 3. Stroke up, engine balance tuning. Our standard parts, again, no racing brake kit because it's over on the next screen as a ceramic brake kit. And then we're going to do both the titanium connecting rods and pistons and the high lift camshaft, and then we are at the carbon propeller shaft. New for 2025. And we'll do one more screenshot of this car. And again, don't forget you're going to want to run some camber in this car. Just because we do know from the past that it will land, when it lands in the high banks on the corners, it will bottom out, and then you completely lose control. And I don't think it's actually bottoming out. I think the tires are actually rubbing the fenders, which is not good at 210 miles an hour. All right. Well, we're down to the last car. Oh, I got out of the wrong spot. So again, I had an extra Maserati Gran Turismo, so I just built that one, not my prototype, just because this was actually the first car I built. Because I had an extra one, I wanted to see how things would work. So, this baby is maxed except for weight reduction stage 5. And we are at 3,016 pounds and 605 horse. So this is our settings. Again, everything is in the middle. This one, there's a lot of cars that are at 70 and 140, so we could call this the standard downforce package, I guess.
If we are at road course, bottoming out should not be an issue.
No, we're not. This is for tomorrow's for the oval. Tonight we're running the Group 4 cars and Group 3 cars again. We're doing the 2 classes. So if you join in, Nook, I have to fill the Group 4 field, but I am going to give people the opportunity if they want to switch from Group 3 to Group 4, they can. And then there will be a couple, if enough people want to switch, there will be a couple of spots maybe open for Group 3. But right now we had 7 and 5. 7 Group 3 and 5 Group 4 cars.
Isn't there a point penalty for switching?
The only thing I would do is make you lose your MRQ bonus. None of the other points would be sacrificed, because in the stages tonight, I'm going to pay.
I'm sure if I push through tonight or get some rest now, taking the risk not to wake up on time.
Well, get some rest now, and we'll keep buzzing you later tonight. All right, so let's go through the build here on the Gran Turismo. Again, this was the first car I really went full out on just to see what we could do, because I wasn't sure they would all be equal, but they really do come out to be pretty darn equal when you restrict them down. And again, you ballast them. Some of them are heavier ballasted because they're this one had to go with 4 weight reductions, so this one didn't have as much ballast because it was not taking off as much off the car when we were weight reducing it, just like the LC. So you do more and more. It's less and less of a weight reduction when you take it. So you have to add less ballast. Some cars it just takes chunks of weight off. I mean the Aston Martin the next one was took it down to like 2,600 pounds. I'm like, holy crap, that is really chopping that. I mean, it went from like 29 something to 2600, I think it was 26 actually. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. We'll just bump the weights up on all the cars. Weight reduction stage 1. All of our engine options available here and our standards. Been ubiquitous on every car. Same thing here. And the increased body rigidity. This one's a little heavier. This is basically the same platform as the Alpha, but this car has a back seat. Stroke up engine balance tuning, polish ports, racing air filter muffler exhaust pads, brake balance controller, fully customizable suspension, racing clutch and flywheel, fully customizable racing transmission, weight reduction stage 4 on this car. Again, this one's a porker. And then our racing tires as you need. Remember, you only need mediums for Daytona for the oval, so you could get away with just buying that. Again, if you're buying a Gran Turismo, you're probably not saving much, trying to save credits. Carbon ceramic brake kit, and then this one needs the titanium connecting rods and pistons. And you can see how much that weight reduction stage 5 is on these cars. Carbon propeller shaft, which I do not have on this one. Look at that. So I found another mistake. I went through these like 3 times, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was getting pretty tired when I was setting everything up for today. All right, that is our list. And again, you notice you don't see the Toyota Crown in here. Remember, the Crown was limited in what you could add and weight in that, and it was extremely unstable. So I've taken it out of the mix. I mean, if you want to run it at the old settings, you know, that's fine, but I don't think it's gonna be competitive, and it's very, very unstable. Actually, you won't be able to run it because I'm gonna have a minimum weight in the room of 3,000 pounds. So, and a maximum horsepower of 669 for that Mustang. All right, well, that's it, guys. That was about just a little bit over. I think I got a little over an hour there. But again, don't forget, tonight is Group 4 cars, and I'm going to set up my Viper back up. I might buy another one of these just so I don't have to try to do an oil change hosting. I can't really do that hosting. So I did a pretty good job. I love this livery on my Group 3, and I did a pretty good job mimicking it. It actually might even look better. So that's the car we're in tonight. I kind of like my Mopar Splash. I didn't know where to put it, but I finally put it on the hood there. So tonight will be BOP with downforce, brake balance, and I think that's it. Maybe ride height. I might have given you ride height. I don't remember. But yeah, Group 3, Group 4. Again, I've got people in Group 3 and Group 4. Oh, I can do the MRQ while we're on here because I haven't put it on in my notes yet, so I can post it online. But after last week's 2 for 124 MRQ, the main race qualifying, we have Logan with the domination with first place all across the board. He will be starting first. That's in a Group 3. Again, I think the first 7 are Group 3s. So Logan, then Steve, who had a second, and a third place finish. And then Eric, who had a third, and a second place finish. He will be third. Fourth will be Keith, who was fourth in every single qualifying race. Fifth would be Makoto, who was 5.65 on the finishes. Sixth is Adam with a 7th, a 5th, and a 6th with a 6.000 average. Eighth would be myself with a 9.333 average. Wait a minute. That's not right. Oh, yes, it is, because some people didn't race the whole thing. Because I skipped over Zippy, and that's what I did. I'm not used to Zippy being up at the top. Now he's number 1. Our returning champion is number 1. So he had an average of 9th, finished again. He was in a Group 4 car. Myself was 8th. 9th was John, who missed the 3rd race. And I don't know if he was having problems or not, but we tried to reach out to him, find out if he was starting, but we ended up... I saw him pop in the room about halfway through the race, so I never did ask him what happened there. Then 10th would be Nasty. And 11th is Lewis, and thank you, Lewis, for joining us. I appreciate it. Hope you be back tonight. You can run a different car again, but whatever car you choose tonight, and this is an important point for anybody listening, whatever car, because we're mimicking a single race with multiple races, whatever car you start in tonight, you will run all night long. There's going to be no switching because it's the same race. We're just splitting it up for points purposes. But we're mimicking the 24 hours of Daytona, so all of the stages we run tonight, again, we'll pay stage bonuses for both groups. So it'll be 5 points for first in the Group 3 cars, 5 points for first in the Group 4 cars, and down the list up till 1 point. Okay, so the top 5 in both divisions are going to get 1 point. So you're guaranteed to get at least a point, bonus point, if you run a Group 4 if we have the same field. Yeah, you may miss out on any bonus points if you're running the Group 3s because there was 7 last week, and there could be more tonight. So if we balance the field out a little bit, you know, it'll be a little easier. Second stage of the race and the 4th stage of the race are technically going to be scored as 2 separate races, even though we're going to keep the lineup the same. It's basically I'm basically breaking it up so we can eliminate, you know, kind of mimic like a full course caution. And so the first stages are going to be short in both the main races, and then the second stages will be longer and probably require at least 1 pit stop. So I will get those. Again, it's going to be, each main race is going to be 42 minutes. So we'll break that down by laps on how that breaks down. And I think it's going to be 8 and 18, but I haven't completely calculated that all out because it's about 1:45 for Group 3 cars, roughly. You're going to be 1 or 2 seconds off of that maybe, but 1:45 is kind of the benchmark. So, again, I will have, even though I'm paying out the bonus points, the MRQ qualifying bonuses, based on the lineup, I will want us to separate. I think we're going to run a pace lap tonight on all the races, so that the Group 3 and Group 4 cars will be separated, because it just kind of makes a mess at the beginning there. So the Group 4 leader will be whoever's first in Group 4, who's ever your quote-unquote Group 4 pole position, will start immediately behind the Group 3 cars. So they'll be gone by the time they get into the corner. There'll be enough separation there. But again, the Group 4 will have the leader will have the call going into the Geico restart zone area on the track. So I think I've got through everything. Hopefully we'll see another 12 people, or maybe even a few more tonight. Again, we'll balance the field out if we get new persons. So depending on who shows up and who doesn't, we may have to, you know, move the field around a little bit. If you do decide you want to change groups, again, your MRQ bonus points is the only thing I'm going to take away from you, if that makes sense. So let's say since Steve asked the question earlier, so he's going to get 9 bonus points for MRQ because he's starting second. If he decided he wanted to go to a Group 4 car, he can do so, but he's going to sacrifice those points.
And start at the back.
Correct, yeah, because you didn't qualify in that group, so you'll be, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Good point. And if anybody wants to go to Group 3, it'd be the same thing. Because we only have, what did we have? We had 7, so we only had 3 people in the bonus in the Group 4s, I think. Nasty. Actually, you know what? Nasty didn't run the last race. Let me check. He was 10th. Yeah, so he got 1 bonus point. So Nasty, John, oh no, Group 4.
Points are important. I'm not giving up anything.
Yeah, I tell you what, as close as a couple of these battles have been, again, this is the spring series, so you're going to have the spring series, the summer series, and then the fall championship series. I give out loyalty points in the spring and the summer series if you run at least 3 events. It's minimal, but it does give you something as opposed to being completely zeroed out on an event. I also give attendance points, which means you've attended the event. Again, we're running two nights every race, and I understand this is a hobby series, so I give you some points for like a 17th place finish, the lowest, below the lowest possible point, which is 16 allowed in a room. So anybody that hasn't driven with us, I've worked a long time, looked at a lot of different series, how they do points and stuff like that, and determine this point system, and it works out pretty good. We've had some pretty good point battles. I think the championship last year, by the time the part 1 was over, I think the championship was pretty much determined because Zippy was very, very, very consistent throughout the whole entire season, including winning the, I think he won the summer series or the spring series. I can't remember. But I think that's all I've got for this one. Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget, tonight I'll probably kick the room off somewhere between 8 and 8:30. We'll try to get right about 9 o'clock tonight. Again, this is Central Standard Time U.S. We'll try to get organized and get things set up. And hopefully by about 10 after 9 we'll be starting the first race. And again, it'll be an hour and 24 minutes of total race time, roughly. It's probably going to be more like an hour and a half. And then we'll have a little bit of... We're not going to have really any breaks between the stages, but I will have breaks between the main race 1 and 2, almost like a halfway break. So, again, I know it sounds confusing, but we're basically mimicking one race by running 2 main races that are broken down into 2 stages. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to add more points in there. That's basically, if we just ran it once, you only get the 1 set of points. It's not as much. I want to reward everybody with some stage points for having good results throughout the parts of the race. So, all right, I think that's it. Thank you everyone again, and we'll see you on tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm not doing anything particularly involved today. I'm going to do some of my work stuff here for the next hour or 2, so I'll be available for questions. And then after that, I'll get some of the more of the details posted up, because it's been hard for me to get home before like 8:30, 9 o'clock recently, and I had 2 people short yesterday, so I was hoping to get out of there at 5, and I got out of there at, what was it, 8?
Thanks for the updates, King.
Yes, sir. And again, thank you, Steve, for all your help, and for participating all the time, and for everybody who's raced with us. Hope to see you there tonight. I'd really like to fill the whole room up. That'd be awesome. So we'll see you guys around. Until then, KingPittdawg out.